Hello, my name is Nicole and this is Jay, and we are members of the first team at the AAMC, and we want to take a moment today to discuss the economics of MD debt, because education debt has become such a rising concern in this country. And so to begin, we're going to look at the current state of debt.
Right. Nicole and I have worked together for over 5 years at the AAMC, and in that time we've been focused on education debt for medical students. We crunch a lot of numbers, we give a lot of presentations, we talk to a lot of students and residents, and we wanted to share some of what we found with you.
Now, the most recent data we have is from the class of 2012, and they told us that whether they graduated from a public or a private institution, they left with a median amount of debt of $170,000. Now, this number includes pre-medical and medical school debt, and 9 out of every 10 graduates left with education debt.
Right. And how did we get here? This is the last 20 years worth of debt, and we can see in the green dotted line the actual values. In 1992, it was about $50,000. Today, it's $170,000, and the blue just adjusts for inflation. So if debt grew as fast as inflation, that blue line would be flat. But because the blue line is going up, we know that debt has increased at more than double the rate of inflation over this time period.
So if you were to dig into the details on that information, we find that gender had no impact on education debt. Whether male or female, the graduates from the class of 2012 left with almost identical debt.
Exactly. So another factor we looked at is non-education debt, and we found that's pretty flat over time. So this is like credit card debt, a residency search loan, a car loan. It's about $9,000. Another thing that's flat is pre-medical debt. That's the debt, as you mentioned, when you enter medical school. That's been very constant, about $20,000 over the last 5 years. And we say these are non-factors because the numbers are so much smaller compared to education debt, which is up there at $170,000. And just looking at the percents really quickly, education debt, as you said, 90% have that. Pre-medical debt, only about a third, 1 in 3 have that. Non-education debt, 1 in 4 have that. So again, a big disparity.
So that makes sense. You're saying education debt is rising and pre-medical and non-education debt have been stagnant.
Exactly.
So how does grants and scholarships work into that?
Well, we took a look at that, and grants and scholarships, they just aren't a major factor for making debt go away. They're available for medical students, of course, but very few medical students are getting a free ride. So it's not a case where you're getting them and then having no debt at all. Now, another thing that we looked at in terms of impact is income, right? So the students told us their family income levels. We divided that into third and then compared the debt amounts across the groups. And as you can see, in the highest bracket, the debt's a little bit lower, but it's still a factor. And in fact, about 80% of those in the high income group reported debt. The lowers are about 90%, debt's a little bit higher. But our takeaway from this is that debt is just an issue for everybody that's in medical school.
You know, I'm really glad that you showed the numbers that way, because a perception I come across in my work with students and residents is that if somebody comes from a high-income family and they go through medical school, they're going to come out on the other side without debt. But you said that's not the case.
Exactly, and that's why we did this analysis, to make sure we understood that issue.
Well, if you want more details on education debt and the costs of medical education, it's available in a report on the AAMC's website, and it is available for free, so we would encourage you to go there and access it.